All right, here we go, guys. We are recording. So, hey, everybody, happy Tuesday, and thanks for being on this Zoom call and learning about Australia. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to introduce Darren because Darren's the star of the show tonight, and he is our partner down in Australia. And the best thing I can tell you about Darren is he keeps all my promises. So when I tell you guys that we're going to put together these tournaments and stay in nice hotels and go on all these fun excursions down in Australia, that's not me doing it. That's Darren and his team. So Darren he's my promise keeper, and he does a great job of doing it. And I first met Darren back when I was 23 years old as a baseball player going down to Australia to play ball. And he and his crew, they're the guys that I measure all of our tour managers and ground operators against, because they are hands down the best. So when I tell you that he's awesome, I am truthfully underselling him and his team. They're just a great bunch of guys, and love Australia, and they love sharing their culture with us. So Darren, with that, I'm going to hand it over to you and just let you, explain, the softball, the volleyball, the basketball tournaments, and, just go from there. So I'll be quiet and let you take it from here.
Thanks, Brigham, and thanks for the kind words. So as you can see, Brigham and I actually go way back, and it was great to have, a participant, I think in 2003. Can everyone hear me okay? Brigham, can you hear me okay? Just checking.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Oh, good. Excellent. All right, I'll just keep going. So it was great to actually have a participant from one of our trips back in 2003 end up creating his own business and, probably changing his life from that experience, that now he does this full time, and, we've got a great partnership. So I've been running and bringing sporting teams out from the US for 25 years now, so since 1995. So it's been a long journey, and we've actually had, over that time period, thousands of American athletes come out and experience our country and our culture, and also experience how we show them we're passionate about our country, and we're passionate about what we do. We're passionate about sport. A little bit about myself. I'm a father of 5 children, 4 daughters, and females, and in sport, because these are all female teams that are coming out, are really important to me. It's very close to my heart, and increasing participation and international experiences for girls is really important to me. And so I suppose, following up from what Brigham has said, is that we're only as good as our last tour. So every single team that comes out is really important to us. We will go to extraordinary lengths to make sure everything goes smooth for you. We're only as good as what we did last year, not 20 years ago, so to speak. So that's a little bit about myself. I'm actually based in Melbourne, Australia, down at the southernmost point of Australia. And I'm currently talking to you from my farm in regional Victoria. I have an Angus beef farm as well. I accidentally became a farmer about 5 years ago and love it. So that's what I do in the off season as well. But I suppose you'd probably like to hear a little bit about what you're going to be doing. I'll talk a little bit about the sport, because the sport's probably the most important thing that we really pride ourselves on, and everything else usually falls into place. So what we've created is the Strong, Fast, Brave program, and the Strong, Fast, Brave games. There's 3 sports and 3 tournaments. So there's a a softball tournament, a volleyball tournament, and a basketball tournament that are part of those. And these, it's a girls only event, and it provides a pathway for both US and Australian teams to compete and spend time with like-minded individuals. So firstly, I'll talk about the softball event. Now it's going to be held in the Sydney Blacktown Olympic Stadium. Now this was the venue for the Sydney 2000 Olympics. And the tournament will be run by New South Wales Softball. That's the governing body for the state of New South Wales, which Sydney is a part of. Myself and Southern Horizon International, our company here in Australia, we've been working with them for 22 years hosting softball events. We generally host 2 to 3 events a year at that stadium. There'll be an opening ceremony on the Thursday night. That will be streamed live back to the US. The stadium actually has cameras that they've set up, so we'll be streaming that live back, so your families will be able to see that back in the US. And there'll be 3 days, followed with 3 days of competition. There'll be probably 20 to 24 teams in the competition with a fairly equal balance of US and Australian teams. And they'll play 2 to 3 games per day. And there'll be a presentation on the Sunday and a closing ceremony as well, which will also be streamed. Now, if your teams are lucky enough to play on Diamond 1, and we'd hope that most of them would get an opportunity to do that, those games will be also streamed live back to the US from the major stadium, the main stadium. I think it has four diamonds, I think, that venue, 4 or 5. Now the next sport I'll talk about is volleyball. This has been a bit of a coup for us. The governing body of volleyball in Australia, Volleyball Australia, they're actually working with us, and they've moved their national titles for under 21s and under 19s to the same date as our event. So we're actually incorporating the Strong Fast Brave games into the Australian national titles. So those teams will actually be competing. There's a 2-tiered program, and there's 6 states and 2 territories in Australia. And each of those territories or states will send 2 teams. One will play in the championship division and the other one will play in the second division. Most of your teams will be playing in the second division against those teams. This is, quality competition around Australia. If we can find a team that's a standout and we can identify them early, they may get promoted up into the championship division. Now, the final location for that national titles hasn't been determined yet. They will, the states actually bid for that, just like they would do for, say, NCAA national competitions. And because of COVID, it's been delayed a little bit. So we're just waiting on the final location. Sydney's actually a front runner, which would be good. And then also that could move to Perth. So Brigham and ACIS and myself will adjust flights accordingly to where it ends up being. And we should know in the next couple of weeks where that location for the volleyball competition will be. It'll run over 3 days. We expect 2 games a day and the best of 5 sets. They may change it to, they're talking about reducing to 3 sets, and then they would increase to 3 games a day, but we'll let you know once we find out the final details for that. The opening and closing ceremony for the volleyball will actually be incorporated into the Australian national titles. So it's actually a real privilege that we've actually been able to have your teams actually become part of the Australian national titles, which is quite exciting for us. And then basketball, we're working with the national the state body for New South Wales basketball, and they will host the event. So that incorporates Sydney, and it'll be, we expect 15 to 20 teams. It'll be a 3-day tournament starting on the first day in the evening. The games will be 40-minute games. That's currently what the discussion is. And I expect that they would include shot clock as well, but we haven't got all that confirmed just yet. Most likely 2 games a day. There could be the odd one that might be 3 games. So you just have to prepare yourselves for that, so to speak, and that will have its own opening and closing ceremony. So that's a little bit about the sports and so forth. If you've got questions regarding that, send those through to Brigham and we can follow those up with answers and so forth for you, so that would be fine. Now, a trip coming out on I suppose you could call it a Team America's team ACI's trip. You could not come out here and not participate in the Great Aussie Challenge. This is unique to what we do. And it's our own version of I suppose, a cultural immersion program. And with a little bit of an Aussie twist. So we get, and parents, it's optional if you want to participate, but all the athletes are expected to participate. Sometimes the parents get so engrossed in it that they really enjoy it and they really get involved. So part of it, it's a little bit like, what was it? What's that American show where they have, they travel around and they try to discover different things? Amazing Race. So it's got an element of that in it, but it's basically, we want you to talk like an Aussie, look like an Aussie, think like an Aussie, and be an Aussie, basically. And so it's lots of different little challenges, questions. It encourages to speak to other Aussies. Be a few little challenges on the way, discovering things. And it's a friendly competition amongst the teams on the tour. And it's our way of getting youth to engage. We're not into, I've been traveling and doing this a long time with teenagers, and we're really not into going and doing boring sightseeing. So we generally create activities that will get them involved and engrossed. And before they know it, they're learning about our culture. To add on to that with some of the things that we do, we want the participants to experience some really unique Aussie things. So all our groups, we actually, when they move to the Gold Coast after the tournament, we actually get them to, they get to experience a surfing session with professional surf coaches, all the equipment, it's all safe, soft boards, wetsuits, and after a couple of hours, you know, they've got every opportunity to stand up. Not all of them do, but quite a good percentage. And parents, I challenge you to as well. So that's my personal challenge. I'm 53 years old and I've been surfing all my life. So if I can do it, so can you. Now, some of the other unique Aussie things is, look, you can't come to Australia without, you know, everyone wants to cuddle a koala and pat a kangaroo and all the rest of it. We will give you that experience. All right. So we go to the Currumbin Wildlife Sanctuary. It's on the Gold Coast. It's not some crappy zoo. It is a proper sanctuary where they save animals. And it's just built up on these beautiful grounds, and they've got kangaroos wandering around that you can hand feed. There's koalas. You can organise to hold a koala and so forth if you choose to. And then there's all the other Australian animals, insects, snakes, everything else that you've probably heard about that are in safe environments for you to check out. So that's an absolute must. So that's included as well. We also do a day trip to a beautiful place called Byron Bay. So check that up. Google Byron Bay. It's the most easterly point of Australia. It's just an hour's drive from the Gold Coast. And it's a spectacular location. And it's a really unique Aussie town that you'll be able to explore. Those that want to, and we make this optional because of weather, we can't guarantee it. We offer it's a guided sit on top kayak tour where they paddle out and they can basically paddle with the dolphins. So there's dolphins, giant turtles, whales that are migrating at that time of year, humpback whales. And we can't guarantee, but probably 80, 90% of the time, they get to see dolphins or get quite close to dolphins. So that's my personal recommendation, is to experience that. I think that we don't include it in the trip because of, sometimes it has to be cancelled because of weather, but I think it would cost around about $60 US to do that experience. So it's quite reasonable. Most of the teams will be going through Sydney, and we also do guided tours. There's a guided tour of the Sydney Opera House as well, which I've probably done 20 times myself, and I'm still not sick of doing it. So I would, that's a great experience. It's one of the most iconic buildings in the world. The Sydney Harbour, Sydney is actually built around this giant waterway. So there's bridges, tunnels, beautiful architecture and housing all around these harbour waters. And Sydney people get around by using ferries. The roads are quite inadequate, so they basically get around using ferries, and that's how we'll be getting around a lot of the times with the teams, is actually catching ferries from spot to spot, which is a little bit different way to catch your public transport on a day-to-day basis. So that probably sums it up in regards to sport, the experience, who you're traveling with as well. Brigham, did you have anything else that maybe any questions you wanted to ask on behalf of everyone?
Yeah, let's highlight the the different kinds of hotels, because I know in Sydney we stay in, I would call them regular hotels, and then when we go up to Surfers and Broad Beach, it's more of a condo style. Can you elaborate on the different kinds of hotels?
Yeah. So on the Gold Coast, most of the accommodation is condo style. So they're generally 2-bedroom apartments, 2 bathrooms, and you have your own lounge room and kitchen and so forth. So it's, and usually with amazing ocean views. So it's classic Florida style condo type thing. In Sydney, sometimes we still stay in that condo style, but also often it's more regular hotels. All our teams stay in quality hotels, so no half-ass hotels or anything like that. It's all quality accommodation, and generally in Sydney we try to stay as close to the competition as we can, so there's not you don't have to fight city traffic as much, and we try to get as close as we can depending on where the event's being held.
Had to find the unmute button so I could unmute myself. So, well, hey, you've covered quite a bit tonight in a short amount of time. So, to wrap everything up, is what we're going to do, guys, is I'm going to record this. I'm going to email it out to everybody. That way you guys have, reference for it. And if you want to watch it again, and then here in the next couple months, we'll have another Zoom call with Darren. And before we have that next Zoom call, I will email you and say, hey, shoot me your questions. That way you guys can ask any questions that you want answered, and I'll get with Darren and make sure we have all those answers for you. That way the next meeting is all about answering all of your questions. So with that, Darren, do you have any closing remarks before I tell everybody good night? And I guess I should say good morning to you. Happy Wednesday.
Yes, it is. It's midday here.
I figured.
And,
you know this area better than I do.
Thank you everyone for your time. Have a good evening. I know it's around 9 p.m. your time, or depending on where you are in the country. And I look forward to your questions, and keen to have everyone out to Australia. Myself and all our staff are excited about this event next year, and traveling with you.
Well, great, Darren. Thank you so much. And everybody, thanks for tuning in. And I'll get this video up on YouTube and I'll email it out to everybody probably tomorrow morning. So have a great night and I will talk to you soon. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Bye, everyone.